I have great respect for dramas that can show morally great characters and still make it enjoyable. One of the great things about BL in general, I think, is that as opposed to a straight drama, there is some level of equality in the power dynamic between two guys as opposed to a guy and a girl. Like there's always a weird power imbalance when it's a guy and a girl. Just because of how the world, the society treats women versus men, right? And so it's very difficult for me to watch a lot of like shows that claim to be enemies to lovers that are like straight, right? Because I am acutely aware of the fact that it's not fair as a guy to be enemies with a girl. Like it's not on equal footing, right? And so BL is good in that sense that it brings forth dynamics that are almost equal. Yes, like one character might be richer than the other, right? And that's where that power imbalance is. But on the level of like gender, they are the same. So that removes kind of that part of me feeling like this is actually just abuse, right? Fan Xiao is actually mentally ill, but honestly, Shu Lang is able to handle him, right? And that's what makes this interesting. I think this is the first time I'm watching a BL where the quote and unquote bottom, right, is just as difficult to deal with as the top, right? And this is to say actually that BL tends to like feminize the bottoms. They tend to like make them weaker in character, weaker in strength, things like that, right? And it's actually kind of weird, right? But this is the first drama I'm watching where I have a character, right, that takes, quote and unquote, right, but is actually not someone to mess with. Like he has his convictions, he has a vindictive spirit as well that he displays, and Fan Xiao, right, has to deal with that. He has to pay for the consequences of his actions, and I love that. Before I go too much into this drama, I just want to mention a few things, right? First of all, this is a Chinese drama. It's currently airing and it has 15 episodes, right? I think only 12 episodes have aired so far. I've watched about 10 of them, right? And basically to my show follows Shu Lang, who is this corporate like worker, right? He has a normal life, he has a boyfriend because he is gay, right? And everything changes when he runs into Fan Xiao, who is this heir of like a Thai company, right? We've all had one or two interactions with people that like, accidents, misunderstanding, something, right? That, we all just kind of brush off and, we say sorry, go our separate ways. And that's basically what Shu Lang does here, right? He like says he's sorry, blah, blah, blah. Like it's not a big deal and he goes on his way. The thing is, Fan Xiao is not. Like he is certifiably insane. He's mental. And so this one interaction with Shu Lang, right, causes Fan Xiao to become obsessed with proving that Shu Lang is actually just as depraved as he is, right? And so when he finds out that like Shu Lang is actually gay, he almost sees it as like a green light that like, the homophobia of like, oh, then he's definitely like depraved because why would you like a guy, right? And he's on his journey to hurt Shu Lang because, I don't know, he has this weird thing that he kind of wants Shu Lang to be depraved and wants to kind of bring Shu Lang down because I don't know how he sees Shu Lang, but he just wants to hurt him, right? Because he obviously likes him, right? And he's not able to like know he likes him, right? His mind is not able to like understand that is like an attraction, right? And so it twists it into something else. I mean, the issue is that Shu Lang is actually a great person and Fan Xiao ends up falling in love, right? So where do you go from here when you've done all these terrible things? Because he does a lot of terrible things, right? And then you fall in love with this person that you're supposed to hate and you're supposed to destroy, right? Unprovoked, by the way, because again, Shu Lang hasn't done anything to deserve this, right? But yeah, that's basically what this drama is about. So the first few episodes of this drama is basically Fan Xiao just like concocting different things that will hurt Shu Lang, right? So one of the things he does is like making him break up with his boyfriend, right? A part of how he does that is that he goes behind Shu Lang's back and seduces his boyfriend to leave Shu Lang for him, right? Obviously once the boyfriend does that, like, and breaks up with Shu Lang, right? He soaps in and he's like, oh, I actually like you, give me a chance, blah 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 blah. Another thing he does is that he has him like molested. I mean, he does the molestation, to be honest, right? But like he has him like drugged, right, and weak, and he basically molests him because, again, Fan Xiao likes Shu Lang. He just doesn't know he likes him. And you know how, and this is why the homophobia in this is actually like really serious. A lot of people that are actually homophobic tend to be the ones to perpetrate crimes against people that are gay, right? That's kind of what it's given, right? And so he is actually the one that ends up doing all these things to Shu Lang, right? And Shu Lang is like genuinely pissed about this, right? Because he's just been like assaulted, right? Sexually assaulted, and he doesn't know who did this, right? So you can imagine how he feels, right? And Fan Xiao this whole time is pretending to be his friend, and I'll help you find the person, and they just all this pretense, like as if he actually like has his best interest at heart, right? And Shu Lang buys it for a time, right? But honestly, I underestimated Shu Lang. Like, I'll be honest. Like, I actually thought when he actually finds out about this, it's not going to be that like serious, because I think I've been desensitized by other bills that like make the assault and the perpetrators consequences minimal. Okay, like obviously Shu Lang is going to find out at some point that Fan Xiao is behind his boyfriend breaking up with him, the assault and everything. Like, he's going to be pissed, but it's not going to be like for a long time. That's kind of what I thought, because that's just what I see in other bills, right? And so when Shu Lang finally finds out, right, I was pleasantly surprised that he was not joking when he said that, like, if you break his trust, like, it's over for you. Like, Shu Lang turned into someone so cold that, like, I was so shocked and I was so impressed, because I think we've seen glimpses of that already, right? Like, there are moments when you see Shu Lang say something and you just know that, like, if this person is crossed, like, you're going to pay. He has a vindictive spirit in him that like rivals Fan Xiao, right? He's lucky that he's not born in like extreme wealth, because I think he would actually be worse than Fan Xiao in terms of like how vindictive he can get. But actually, Shu Lang is just like, he knows his boundaries, and if you cross his boundaries and you do something you're not supposed to do, he will cut you off and he will make you pay, right? And so when he finds out that Fan Xiao is behind all these things, even though they'd like been lovey-dovey up to that point, the minute he finds out, he breaks it off, right? And he's like, I'm not doing this with you. Throws in some punches there, because how dare you molest me, as well, right? And he's really hurt by this, right? And he really doesn't understand why Fan Xiao would do this. And that's really to the point of like, Fan Xiao is not okay as a person. Like, I don't think he was raised right. So, he just doesn't understand that part. And he just, something that he's invited to his best, something that he really likes, for him to be the one to have done this to him, right? And I mean, I think Fan Xiao just forgot himself, because he actually really liked Shu Lang and he just wanted to keep being with him, right? And I think that it just came back to haunt him in that sense, right? But yeah, like watching Shu Lang just change and become like a different person is so satisfying to watch. And that's one of the strong parts of this drama. In fact, I'll say that is the biggest reason to watch this drama, because you see a character that is true to himself and doesn't take nonsense. Like, up to now, he still hasn't forgiven Fan Xiao, and I love it. Like, it's been episodes now, like up to 3 episodes now, and he still hasn't forgiven this guy. Like, I just love it, because like they brush over these things so fast, when this is actually like really heartbreaking. And honestly, you should never like trust somebody like this again, right? Obviously, like, this is like a drama, so like I think that they're still gonna get back together at the end. That's just the unfortunate part of it. But honestly, it's just amazing and refreshing to see a character like stick to their word and make someone pay. Like, you have Fan Xiao groveling. Like, when I talk about groveling, a character should grovel for the bad things they've done. This is what I'm talking about. Like, this is what I want to see, right? This is what I wish Iljo would put Jonghan through in Thunder Clan Raystorm, right? The Korean BL, because Iljo like just takes a lot of the nonsense that Jonghan says to him, and just like doesn't have enough self-esteem to care that like Jonghan is actually like a terrible human being in terms of like things he says to him, right? And so I wish I had seen Jonghan grovel more, right? But obviously that was not gonna happen, right? Iljo was just too love struck by like Jongan to ever put him through that. But like Shu Lang does not give an F, right? He does not give an F. It doesn't matter how much he liked you before. The same thing. He does the same thing kind of to his ex-boyfriend. The only thing is with his ex-boyfriend, when his ex-boyfriend like wants to break up and everything, right? He still has some affection for him and is able to like help him in a scenario where the ex-boyfriend got into like this issue at work and stuff like that, right? That shows you that Shu Lang does have a good heart in him, that even if he's ended things with you, so far it's not like something bad, like terrible, like in the case of like his ex-boyfriend, right? He is going to like still be helpful and still kind of, assist you if he can. But Fan Xiao Fan Xiao is just like has done something that's like unforgivable, and I just love so far seeing Fan Xiao beg and just admit, right, to all the things he's done, right? And I like it because while to an extent this is important for Shu Lang, right? And obviously like in an ideal world, Shu Lang should never ever, right, get back together with Fan Xiao, right? But again, this is a drama and it's fiction, and let's be honest, they are getting back together by the end of this. That's just how this shit works. But I like that this is happening because it also helps me as the audience sympathize. I shouldn't say sympathize because then I'm sympathizing with an abuser, but it helps Fan Xiao to become kind of redeemable, because you kind of see him go through this and have to come to terms with his personality and how bad of a person he is to have done this to Shu Lang, right? And from there, then, should Shu Lang decide to get back together with him, right, it's actually after he's worked on himself, right? Even though obviously he should be in jail because this is a crime. But again, we'll table that because this is fiction. But, I like that this is happening and Shu Lang is confronting him about this and making sure he doesn't get away with it, because then you see scenes where Fan Xiao admits his personality deficiency and what he thought about Shu Lang and, why he did what he did, right? And I think that's important for him to like change as a person. Because currently, I feel like Fan Xiao is still defiant, right? Like, Shu Lang is trying to break this boy in. Shu Lang is trying to train him into, like, basically what he wants him to be. I mean, obviously, like, Shu Lang doesn't know that's what he's doing, but he's like he's training a rabid dog, right? For now, Fan Xiao is still giving like a lot of growling and frothing at the mouth because he just does not listen still. He still is trying to cage Shu Lang, right? So even though Shu Lang wants to leave him, he's still trying to cage him. And I think that the climax of this will be when Fan Xiao lets Shu Lang go, right? Because currently where I am at, this is something that Fan Xiao will still not allow, even though like Shu Lang is doing all these things and making his life hell, like emotionally, right? Fan Xiao is still not able to let go because he can't imagine doing that. Like, he's somebody that's a control freak, right? So even up to now, even though Shu Lang has asked for this, he's still not giving it, and he's actually doing even worse. Because the scene I ended up at, we see that even Shu Lang's professor is in on this and pretending just to trap Shu Lang in this emotional and that's how like Fan Xiao keeps trying to like get him, right? Because even though Shu Lang is a little cold in some senses, he cares about his own people so much because they've helped him, and that's just how he is as a person. So that's what he did with Shu Lang's brother, and he always uses that, right? And this time where I ended, it was the professor that's like now becoming an accomplice to this. And I know Shu Lang is also going to be heartbroken when he finds out about this. And I think that Fan Xiao is actually the one that's going to reveal that or make sure to expose that to Shu Lang so that he'll know that like his professor is also a piece of shit, right? And I think he's doing kind of a cleanup of like the trashy people in Shu Lang's life, low key, because the way they all react to money when Fan Xiao gives them money, they are ready to betray Shu Lang immediately, right? Whereas Shu Lang actually has a good spirit, and that's something that Fan Xiao notices, that like actually money and things like that don't matter to him. At the end of the day, he always does the right thing, and that's what makes him different, right? And so I think that they have a very interesting like dynamic going on, and this drama could be resolved in a bunch of different ways, but I think that they have built it well up to this point, that whichever way they decide to go with and end this, I think they have enough material to like make it worthwhile for me, right? I obviously think that Fan Xiao needs to learn to let go and trust that like Shu Lang will love him enough to like either give him another chance or come back to him, right? They've obviously not gotten there yet because again, like I said, Fan Xiao is still doing rubbish and it just never learns. But I think that it's going to happen at some point because Shu Lang's personality, like if Shu Lang like just gives in, this drama will just feel weird if that's how it ends, right? So that's the only thing. Like this drama should not end with like Shu Lang just giving in and letting Fan Xiao do all these things to him, because going forward in their relationship, that power dynamic will always be there, and Fan Xiao will always have something over him, right? That is like, you can never leave me kind of thing. So I do think that in this game that they are playing, Shu Lang should try and get away, and Fan Xiao has to learn to let go, right? And I look forward to seeing how that's going to be resolved between the two of them. But so far, it's so enjoyable. Like I am actually surprised how good the writing is in that sense, right? So yeah, I love it so much. And I hope it sticks to landing. Yeah, so that's really all I have in this episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you guys have a lovely Christmas and New Year, and I'll talk to you guys again next week. Have a lovely one. Bye.